But anyway, let's talk about Pelosi's big gambit. She's hoping that she can sway Republicans in the Senate to impeach Donald Trump, even though that's not likely to happen. I think that at this point, if there are any Republicans who are thinking about voting with the Democrats, then they're probably in the sort of Brad Raffensperger camp of being fingered in the conspiracy by Time magazine. I would really have a problem if I was a Republican watching any Republicans going, well, I mean, we have to work with the Democrats on this. What are you serious? What? Work with them on what? Your continual destruction? How about you just stop for a minute? Think about what they're doing. Look, the will that's animating the Democratic Party at the moment is an antithetical one.
You're purchasing the rope that will hang you.
Yes, exactly. You think they're going to stop with you? You think about, oh, well, all the others are bad, but you're okay. You're in the club. Get out. These people are on the warpath. And they are seeking to do as much damage as they can, and you have to resist them. So Pelosi is trying to get Republicans to defect, right? And I love the way that she said this. We'll see if it's going to be a Senate of courage or cowardice, she added. The courageous thing would be to resist and stand up against this. But anyway, the allegations against Trump are that he incited a mob on the 6th of January, which resulted in the deadly riots at the Capitol. The allegations are detailed in a memo sent to the Senate, where Trump is accused of whipping the crowd into a frenzy on that day, then aiming them like a loaded cannon at the U.S. Capitol. Talk about being dramatic. Trump, we're going to peacefully march and make our voices heard. Them, Sorry, it's childish misrepresentation. And the Hill actually published an article saying, actually, Trump didn't really do what we're accusing him of doing, and this seems unreasonable, and that he'll win in court. Looks like he might. But anyway, the managers will present their case in front of the court of the Senate and make their case in the court of public opinion, and they will make their case for history and posterity, said Pelosi. Why bother? Why bother? Ask our founders why bother. Oh yeah, I'm sure the founders are just thrilled with the idea of a cabal of elites controlling the electoral process. Ask those who wrote the Constitution. Ask Abraham Lincoln. I love the way she's essentially saying, ask Republicans what we should do. Ask anyone who cares about our democracy and why we're bothering. You cannot go forward until you have justice. And so to this end, the Democrats want Trump to get up and testify under oath at the impeachment, which strikes me as being a massive L in potential for the Democrats. If we can go to the next one, please, John. They've called on Trump to testify under oath at the impeachment, sending him a letter saying, come and testify. You have thus attempted to put critical facts at issue, notwithstanding the clear and overwhelming evidence of your constitutional offense, says Congressman Jamie Raskin. And this seems like he's the lead impeachment manager. And this seems like a deeply dangerous game to play to me, because at the end of the day, Trump could get up and say anything. For example, Trump could sit there and quote verbatim from the Time article, which he should.
Like, he's got, an hour, maybe two in there?
Yep.
At least, for speaking time?
Just read it.
There's your opening statement.
Yep. Just read it. That's what he should do. Instead, and this I think is frustrating. And at the end of the day, even if he doesn't do that, I mean, I would do that. I would say, look, this is what I felt I was up against, and then just read from the Time magazine article we've done. But even if he didn't do that, I think he could make a humanizing case, right? Where he says, look, I didn't do anything that was illegal. You're not accusing me of any crime. You're not accusing me of rigging the election or anything like that. You're accusing me of being an effective campaigner and for being the candidate the American public wanted to vote for. This is what's laid at my feet. He hasn't done anything. What's he done? What's he done that's outside of the realm of normalcy?
Well, they're trying to argue on legal grounds with the incitement, and that's a dud. That's dead.
Easy to destroy. Even the Hill had to come out and admit, look, that's a bad argument.
Didn't James Comey, the FBI director, also have to say, ex-FBI, also had to say
Did he?
that
I didn't
it was
see it.
dead? Like, there was no way they could get him on this?
Yeah. Because he said peacefully marched to the Capitol, and all of the people who have been saying, "Oh, Trump is inciting," they have to appeal to innuendo, and it's like,
yeah, I mean, like Twitter, for example, or Facebook, both of them listing their reasons for why they got rid of him had to openly say, "Well, he may have said something that
we interpreted this to say."
Yeah, it's like we had to reinterpret it to get to the conclusion we wanted.
Yeah,
it was like right. So
a reasonable person won't come to the conclusion that a man saying you should peacefully go to the Capitol and make your voices heard is saying hang Nancy Pelosi. That's not a reasonable interpretation.
No.
And yeah, so but So basically, I would be totally in favor of Trump giving his testimony here, because I think he'll be able to defend his case, make them look ridiculous, and publish the Time article with them, basically. But instead, the Trump team has his impeachment lawyers, David Schoen and Bruce Castor, have suggested that the invitation was a public relations stunt and repeated the president's central defense that it's unconstitutional to bring an impeachment proceeding against the former president. The president will not testify in an unconstitutional proceeding. I think this, I'm no expert, but it just seems to me that there's a potential here to do a kind of political jiu-jitsu move like Saul Alinsky would have recommended and use the strength of your opponent against them. So we're going to bring you to trial and make you testify. Okay, this is what I have to say. The core argument that it's unconstitutional to impeach a former president may not have strong grounds, actually, because there have been there have been times where such things have happened in the past. I thought I actually had some notes that told me
they did have a vote on this in the Senate, and the Senate did not get a supermajority to say that it was constitutional.
I will get to that in a second. Yeah, but anyway, so it's not liable, in my opinion, to be successful. But if we can go on next, talking about Lindsey Graham. Now, Lindsey Graham, we won't watch a clip, but basically he's advising against calling witnesses during the trial, because then if the Democrats call a single witness, they'll have to call the FBI in, and suddenly it becomes a much longer, drawn-out thing. And so the open wound starts festering, is what he's saying. This could go on. The Democrats could essentially fail, and then Trump goes away. That's it. Then business as usual, as far as they're concerned. And Lindsey Graham put out the honestly quite teary-eyed appeal, saying, "Look, you are opening a Pandora's box here that cannot be closed. Just think about what you're doing. Use a bit of restraint. Stop doing this." But Democrat activists on Twitter were obviously like, "No, to hell with you." What's the next one? We'll call witnesses for the Senate trial if we need to, and there isn't a damn thing Lindsey Graham can do about it. Yeah, that's not what Lindsey Graham was saying. Lindsey Graham is appealing to moderation. He is on his knees. He is begging you, please don't do this. You're going to destroy the Republic, and your attitude is to hell with Lindsey Graham. To hell with this. There's nothing you can do about it. It's like, well, that's the kind of attitude that makes people think, well, okay, let me show you what I can do about these things. And that's not the road you want to go down. You do. That's again, not a position of goodwill. And so anyway, yeah, like you were saying, it's not likely that they're going to get their impeachment vote. As we saw last week, Rand Paul had brought a vote on whether this was a constitutionally acceptable thing to do in front of the Senate, and he had failed to get this thing discharged or whatever. But
so the vote was a majority vote, because it was just is this constitutional?
Yeah.
And the Democrats got a few Republicans on side, so it got the majority. Mm-hmm. But to actually impeach someone, you need a supermajority of 66 out of 100, which they weren't able to get. So it indicates that there is enough Republicans who already don't think this is constitutional.
And we can.
In which case, when it comes down to the vote on impeachment, why would they vote to impeach?
Yes, but we can name the traitors. I think it's fair to call them traitors. Mitt Romney, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Ben Sasse, and Pat Toomey. There we go. They are the people who are at this point willing to work with the cabal in the Democrats. But yeah, they need 17 people. They can get 5. It's unlikely they're going to get Trump impeached. Again, they'll fail to impeach Trump, and they will continue tearing apart the Republic.
I love the idea in 4 years he comes back, runs, wins, and there's like 3rd impeachment, 4th impeachment.
What's stopping Pelosi, who by that point is going to be a skeleton?
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that Trump's legal team's responses to a lot of this stuff. We are in receipt of your latest public relations stunt. As you certainly know, there is no such thing as negative inference in this unconstitutional proceeding. Your letter only confirms what is known to everyone. You cannot prove your allegations against the 4th, 5th President of the United States, who is now a private citizen. The use of our Constitution to bring a purported impeachment proceeding is much too serious to try and play these games. There's nothing too serious for them to play games about. You have to understand. Trump resigned from the Film Actors Guild. That's not actually called the Film Actors Guild, is it? That's from Team America, the Screen Actors Guild, sorry. And they basically told Trump that they were kicking him out of it. And Trump's response was great. He was like, who cares? And then resigned immediately. It's like, solid response. Maxine Waters wants Trump charged with attempted premeditated murder, which I think is sane. as sane as you would expect from someone like Maxine Waters. Rather ironic, given that she's the one who was calling for Republicans to be harassed in public. Wherever they were seen, form a crowd, make sure they're being harassed.
I mean, she was very explicit. I've seen like this meme where you have like 4 Democrats saying things, then Facebook's like putting a fact check under all of them now, because of course they are.
She's one of them, and they're all accurate as well.
You could argue them, I guess, but Maxine Waters' one is one you cannot argue, because she was very explicit. Wherever you see them, in a diner, in a gas station, form a crowd and let them know. It's like, well, what?
Harass them in public.
Like, what else do you call that, man? Like,
Waters said the rioters were following the president when they stormed the Capitol. What's so interesting about all of this that they tried to make themselves the victim when indeed they are following the president of the United States of America who had advanced planning about the invasion that took place on the Capitol? The hell are you talking about? Like, Trump didn't go in. They didn't follow him in. He didn't tell them to go in. And what advanced planning are you talking about? I mean, we know advanced planning about the cabal.
Maxine, they just saw a bunch of senators, formed a crowd, and made them know
Yeah, exactly.
Like, shut up. I'm not taking it from these people.
Yeah, and we've got to the point now where CNN are like, yeah, well, everyone's in favor of this. Millions of people who voted for Trump actually want him barred from office. Okay? Sounds likely. It's according to...
CNN poll.
Oh, well, yeah, exactly. According to an ABC News /Ipsos poll that showed 56% of Americans are in favor of the Senate convicting Trump, whereas 43% are opposed to such an action. Now, I mean, I wouldn't say that's actually as monumental a landslide as they think. The fact that Trump still has 43% support is a lot of people. Like, that's, I don't know, something like 140 million people.
And this is like a worst estimate.
Yeah.
Like, I don't believe these numbers.
Yeah, well, take polling for what it's worth, because the polling has been worthless the whole time.
I mean, like, just his approval ratings are better than this, for example.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. That's correct. But again, take it for what it's worth. But this is the propaganda that they're putting out. So everyone is in favor of having Trump impeached. You know, Republicans, you need to do it. If you don't want the cabal coming for you next time, I suppose, because, you know...
It's such a paper tiger.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, they always put themselves up as like, oh, loads of people want this, we're going to go ahead, whatever. But if the Republicans in the Senate just say no, they can't do anything. It's that simple.
And that's what they should do.
Yeah.
And then they should get rid of the 5 defectors who decided to become Democrats, because the Democrats they're not playing soft anymore.
Literally just kick them out of the party.
Literally you should.
You're no longer party members, you're not independent senators, and watch them join the Democrats.
Exactly. That's all they'll do. The Republicans at this point have to understand that there is an active will against the sort of MAGA movement, which is most of the Republican base at this point. And if they don't pull their heads out of their rears, it's going to keep doing to others what they did to Trump. And you're going to have to stop them. You know, you can't live in a society like that, because again, like fundamentally, the bedrock principle, you would have learned this if you'd watched my book club on John Locke's Second Treatise of Government, which is why you sign up on lotus.com. But the underlying principle of the American Republic is that it is government by consent, with a government that's formed by the people, for the people. Wow, this is all sounding like rhetoric. This is very easy to roll off the tongue. It's almost like it's embedded in the very foundational notions of the United States.